Thanks for coming, guys. It's a pleasure to be here. So we're gonna go the headshot game and how to start it. White background, heads chopped up, like that's it. There's a recipe. I have a recipe. It's simple. It works. You know, it worked up to this point. I mean, I've been doing it since 2000. I built my whole career based on that look. It was phenomenal. And it's a recipe that works, but it is based on that simplicity. For me, it's about simplicity and it's about expression. Anybody can put a white background behind somebody, right? You could light it. You could light a white background, put somebody in front of it. What's the difference? Getting that person to look alive and interesting in there, and that's really what it's about. I call it lookability. I come up with words. Lookability is the image's ability to capture the attention of the onlooker. That's what I defined it as. You guys want to have shots that capture. You don't want your shots just to sit in your computer, do you? You want to show them to people. We take pictures to show them. So we want to do that. But I wanted to show you where it started, because I think I get asked all the time, do I need a studio? Do I need, expensive lights? Do I need an expensive camera? The answer is no, you don't. I started shooting right here. This is my apartment. I got it because I wanted, obviously it was around this time of year when this was taken, but this is a studio and this is 4 different shots of it. My wife is there with me on the couch, and this is the window that I started shooting out of. I would put my lean up against the windowsill, and southern facing light was coming through that window. It faced south, and I shot like that, and that's the way all my work was presented. And it was black and white back then, and I was shooting film, and which was kind of nice because I didn't have to worry about color temperature throughout the day. When everything went color with actors, it became more difficult because I'm like using natural light and I'm shooting in the morning, then noonday sun, and then in the afternoon when it gets really a heck of a lot warmer, I had to worry about it. But that was it. In a studio with, clients coming into an apartment without a problem, starting my business from there. And these are some of the first images that I took at that window. You can see me in the reflection in the light. So I really don't have, and when people ask me and are so concerned about getting started, I was like, do you have a window? Like, there's gotta be a window somewhere. Like, you could shoot and make a living. I made a living because of a window. I mean, it was a fairly big window, but these were the first images that I was taking there. And this was the light that I based my work off of. I love this. I love that I'm in there. I love the light. I just put a V-flap behind her, like a white foam board. That was it. So it was natural light, and then I processed this and developed it myself. And I went through that process. And I stayed sitting against that windowsill from 2000. I got that apartment actually in 2001 because I picked up a camera in around July of 2000. So it was 2001 in February, I believe. Around then I moved into this apartment, and I got my first studio in 2004. So I was there 3 years building my business just like this. And I would process the film in the apartment, and I would drive out on weekends to my mom's and do all the printing of these images for these actors. And then on occasion, I would get out of the studio, and I would natural light is your friend. It's like all these lights, every light that's designed, I'm always looking at natural light circumstances. Like I was in a restaurant, I was speaking in Cincinnati on Friday, and I went to lunch with 2 of my friends, Kim and Joe, and the light in the restaurant was amazing. And I was sitting with the window in front of me, and they were getting this beautiful, and Kim was like, I've been looking at you at this light the whole time. We got to take a selfie this way. And we did this awesome shot. And I was like, but look at this guy. I'm looking at this light. Look at the kicks on his cheek. Like, in you guys, every kind of setup that you would ever want to do to set up whatever lighting that you want is happening out there in real life, and you have to be attuned to it. You have to see it. You have to get so accustomed to feeling what the light's like almost. It's like it's a feeling. I'm so sensitive to light. Like these lights really bug me right now. I'm dealing with it because we got to look good. I look good, right? Is this lit well? Do I look good? Okay. And I'm dealing with it. But if I walk into a restaurant, my wife is like, she's like, okay, where do you want to sit? She like knows that if the hostess is taking us towards the table, I start scoping the table. I'm scoping the room. I'm looking at the light around the room. I'm looking at the hot spots on the table. I will not sit in a hot spot on a table. I'm totally that sensitive. So she's like, okay, go ahead, pick where you're gonna sit. I was like, all right. I was in a restaurant and it was like Easter or something. I don't remember what it was, but we were going out for a special occasion to eat at this restaurant. And we sit down and we're coming to the table and I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't know where to sit. I'm gonna sit here. So I sit because it's like we were with my mother-in-law and my kids. I have twin daughters and my wife. So it was the four of them and I sat at like the head of the table. And there was like this chicken place and they had like feathers on the ceiling. And the feathers were attached to like some aluminum thing, and the fan from the air conditioning was hitting the feather, and there was a light shining through the feather, and it was shining on my menu, and it was going like this, and it was making me dizzy. I had to call the maitre d'. I was like, you got to move me. Like, I can't be here, and they had to move the table. That's how sensitive I want you guys to be to light. And you know where it starts? Like, that's how sensitive I am to light. And it starts here. Look at this. Natural light, right? That's why I shoot continuous light. That's why I like my LEDs. I can see what's going on. That's how I'm all self-taught. I didn't learn it. I didn't go to a school and learn. I had this, I was shooting, when I started shooting, one of my friends was getting married and he said, would you shoot my wedding? I was like, yeah, I'll shoot my wedding. So one of my actor friends had gone to photography school and he came with me. And I didn't know what I was doing, so we're just running around, and he goes to me, hey, and we were setting up like at I don't know where we were setting up, and he goes, hey, where do you want me to put the key light? And I was like, do we have one? I was like, I don't know. Put that light over there. I don't know. I didn't know. I was like this, so it was always natural light for me. And I always got to see it. Look at this little kick off the cheek, right? The hair's being lit up by that window back there. This was in my grandmother's house. We were tearing it down, and I brought a bunch of models and friends, and we went and did this shoot. And it was cool. This is Iñaki, my friend. He's awesome. But look at how the shadows over the nose, like the shadow densities really matter to me. Like all that stuff matters. It all matters, but it was always through this natural light. So I'm always walking around in public looking at natural light. Like if you don't have a sensitivity to light, you're not playing the game as a photographer. What is photography? Light. Aren't we all about light?
Shadows.
We're all about light. You guys got to have a sensitivity to light. And the one thing that really is important to me, I think a lot of photographers take responsibility for where they place the light. Like I put his face here and I feel responsible for the highlight, right? I don't think photographers feel responsibility for they just let shadows happen. You're putting those shadows there. That shadow density on that cheek, I put there. Like that, I got to decide if I want that or not. That's my decision. Any shadow and any highlight, you're the photographer. You decide. You got tools. We got tools we can buy. We can get a reflector and put it in here and open up that shadow. That's your decision. You can do it. You got to do it. You got to figure out what it is. So, here's a little fast forward, and I was doing. I got this book. So this is the headshot, and I wrote it. And I never thought I would be I was like terrible in school. I'm not very smart, I don't think. And I was certainly not going to be an author and able to write a book. So Scott Kelby asked me one day, he said, Peter, come on, you're the headshot. You got to write a book on headshots. And I was like, I don't know I'm not writing anything. He goes, no, we're not going to write it. We're going to do it together. You're going to sit with me and we're going to talk out the book. I was like, what? I was like, Scott, you don't have that time. He goes, I do for you. Can you believe this? So Scott and I sat and we put an iPhone between us and he pressed record and I talked out this entire book with him. And every couple months I would go down to Florida and be with him, or if we'd see each other, wherever we were, we'd get together and we do it. Finally, he gives me the transcription back and he says, okay, here it is. It's all in, this is every chapter all laid out. He goes, just read it, don't change much. It's basically ready to go. and then we'll get it out there. And I start reading it, and I'm like, this doesn't even sound like me at all. What is this? And I rewrote the whole thing. This was like I've trained for 2 Olympic Games. Writing this was more difficult. But I have to thank Scott, because I would not be an author without that guy. I mean, this amazes me. So, and I dedicated it to my mom as well. So, who unfortunately, I'm going to read it. To Mom, for overlooking every drop of fixer that stained your basement floor, and for everything that you taught me that I never realized until you were gone. This is for you. I lost my mom. I lost my mom to cancer, but I got a book, and I dedicated it to her. And without the darkroom in her basement, I wouldn't be standing here, and I wouldn't have had the ability to spend the time with her that I did, when I did. So this book means a lot to me. I didn't expect to go there, but I did. In the book, I put my daughters, and I put the way I started. That is that's a couch that folds into a futon, that all those pictures that I showed you in black and white everybody was in that same position. That's the way I started, with the V-flats just like this, and my back to the window. That's exactly how I started. How difficult would this be for you guys to set up something like that? You can build a business around it. And that's the shot. And to me, well, I mean, she's genetically gifted because she's mine, but she looks more like her mom, though, luckily. But, to me, that light, you really can't beat natural light, guys. And it's free, hello? And you can build a business around it. So if you're not good at this is where your base should always be. My base is in natural light. It's my base. And then I decided, now I have a studio. I like people standing. If you notice, some of the positions that I had people in those natural light shots were a little funky and stuff. But I have people standing. And this is my other daughter. They're twins. And I created this board because I needed it, because I travel out to clients a lot. And I needed a background, and I wanted something that was a matte finish that I could use. A lot of times when I use my lights, I let the background fall off to like a nice gray. So I developed this board, and I sold it under my company, Hurley Pro, which was carried in B&H, but then I'm a photographer, and it got too hectic, and it was crazy. So I've teamed up with Westcott, and hopefully we're gonna be bringing out the board again soon, and it'll be available here in B&H, I'm hoping. But now I stand people, I use a little bit of a reflector underneath, and I still get, a very similar result. If there's direct sunlight coming through, this is this I love. This is a Matthews China silk, which I've got 2 of them. I've got the 12 by 12, which is this one. I've also got an 8 by 8, and they sell it here at the store, and it's amazing. I love it. And they're not even that expensive, so it's worth grabbing and figuring out a way to diffuse light. So let's say direct light's coming through there. I'd throw up something like this, and we get a result like this. And that's my other daughter, Mia. And this is what I've laid out in the book. This is what I want to show you. When I moved from there, I got a studio. I had a problem. I'm going to show you the studio. I'm a natural light shooter. Think about this. Watch this.
My old studio. This is where it all started. This is just the entrance room, but this is the big studio in the back, and this is my wife and my friend Josette. But this was the office, my first studio. This is it. I mean, it's a mess in here, but this is where I was, jammed in this little room, and this is where I shot. This is where the first headshots were taken. It's like about that's about a 10 by 10 foot square, and I used to bounce light off all the white walls, and I had a pretty tall ceilings, no windows, but this is where it was done. This is where Peter Hurley headshot photography pretty much got started. Tiny little room right here. So you could do it anywhere, guys, is what I'm saying. Anywhere. Anywhere. That square is 10 by 10. I'd say this room is another maybe 20 feet. So 20 feet by 10 for this square. So it's like Yeah, it's tiny. It's tiny. What is it, 300 square feet? Unbelievable. Shot a lot of people in this frickin' tiny room.
What did you notice about that? I have already told you I'm a natural light shooter, right?
No natural light.
Nothing. I had nothing. So what I do, I had bought strobes. I had started obviously experimenting with strobes, but I couldn't get the light that I wanted at all. I couldn't figure it out. I could not. In the back of that studio, there was another studio. This is in the Starrett Lehigh building out on 26th Street, that big building. It takes up the whole block. And it's awesome. It's full of a bunch of photo studios. So in the back of that room was a rental studio, and they had this little office, and my friend Rita runs it. It's called Pure Space. And in the back, they had this huge studio that was rented out. And every day, these really awesome photographers would be in there, and me being this like new to doing anything like this, would always peek my head out or try and walk in and see what they're doing. And one day, this photographer was out there, and he had these weird-looking lights. And I asked his assistant, I was like, "What are those?" And he said, "Oh, those are fluorescent lights." And I was like, "Really?" I was like, "They just go on, and yeah, you turn them on." And then I was like, I was like, "Really?" I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And I watched these guys, and I was like, "These lights look awesome." And that's like nothing I'd ever seen before. So they shot all week. And I saw these Polaroids, and I was like, they're amazing. And then Friday, they left. And there was like all the equipment was piled up like on the floor. So the studio manager was there. I said, "What's going on with these?" And he goes, "Oh, the rental house is picking them up on Monday." I went, "Monday?" I was like, oh boy. So I called this girl, and I went and I set up, they were KinoFlow lights. I set them up, and I shot, these were the first pictures that I took with them. And I went, oh my gosh, I can see. And I just set them up like what I thought. I was thinking the window, right? So I set them up like the window. I was like, I can see what's going on. I'm gonna set these up. And I shot these, and I looked at them. I was like, that's it, I'm done. I'm not gonna worry about the strobes in that room anymore, blowing all over the walls and not knowing. I didn't know back then. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I didn't understand the inverse square law. I didn't know what different modifiers did. I didn't know why I was shooting one modifier compared to the other. That's a process that you can go through and you can learn, and I've learned it now. But back then I didn't know. So I went and I shot this. I packed up the lights. They came and got them Monday. While they were coming to get them Monday, I was running over here to order them. And I ordered my lights, and I shot KinoFlows for a really long time and built my business based off this continuous lighting. But I had a problem, and that was I needed to be portable. I was like, and I needed, is it that important? No. Okay. I needed to be portable, and one of the things is that if you notice, some people are very sensitive to people. Have you shot people with sensitive eyes? You have, right? It's like, and if you're hitting them with continuous light, you got a problem. You got to figure it out. So I didn't have the dimmability I needed. I started to lose quality and moving them away and dimming them and trying to do all this stuff. So I needed a better solution. So that's why I developed, I started down this path of developing my own LED lights, and then I teamed up with Westcott, which was the best move, and we developed the Flex Kit together, which is amazing and does everything I need. And now I travel the world with my Flex Kit. Although I didn't bring it today, I should have brought it. I could have brought it, but I didn't. I wanted to bring speedlights because I thought we were just starting out and you guys would want to see those. But for me, what this really is about and what it all begins with, because I want you guys thinking about, obviously I'm telling you my story because I can't tell anybody else's story. I don't know how else to teach people, but by my experience, so that's why I tell a lot of stories. And I think that the stories really are what help things stick. It's said that if you sit through a lecture or something like this, you're going to retain 10% of it. I think if I wrap it around a story, you're going to retain a little bit more. So a lot of my stuff is based on these stories. So for me, it really begins with the work. If you're going to start a headshot business, it begins with the work. I've been coaching, and I meant to put it in here and I didn't. I've been coaching 3 through the Headshot Crew. So what I did was in 2007, I was charging at the time, I think I was $1,100 for a headshot or something like that at the time, and I was cranking. It was crazy busy, but people would call. I didn't keep my rates on the website, so people would call and they'd ask, well, how much do you charge? I'd be like, well, it's $1,100, and they would click, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, that person didn't even wait for me to stop that sentence, So my reputation would get me the people who were in the know, who wanted the best or whatever, or considered me to be the go-to guy. But the people that were out there that needed headshots just wouldn't comprehend that. And I was like, there's got to be a solution, because I have this great SEO, which is something that we're going to talk about, because if you're starting a business, you've got to get a good website together, and you've got to make sure that people are seeing it and make sure you get traffic to it. So I had this great SEO, and then I was like, wait a minute, let me figure this out. What if I get another photographer in here? I train them, I get the work, we do a lower price point, and then I get a percentage because I train them, they're shooting in my studio, and I'm giving them the client. And that started what I called PH2, my PH2 program. Then I talked to my web guy, and I was like, wait a minute, hold on. If I could do this in New York, why don't I just do it? We could do it anywhere in the country. Maybe I can train photographers and I can do this. And then we started a website, and I called it PH2 Pro. And the website started, everybody who took my course got put into this PH2 Pro website. And years later, I was like, but PH2 Pro doesn't sound like anything. Who would know what that is? That doesn't sound like anything. Years later, I rebranded it to Headshot Crew. Now there's almost 14,000 photographers on Headshot Crew worldwide. And I've got 1,200 that are in my coaching program that I coach on headshot photography. How many of you guys are in the coaching program? You guys? You are too, aren't you? You're not in it? Oh, get your act together. What are you doing? Get your act together. No. So it all started from this idea of giving another photographer work that I had access to these people. And that phone and that conversation and those calls that came in didn't stop, and now they're not stopping. And I believe that headshot photography is the biggest growing genre of portraiture that there is. Now everybody needs one. Do you realize that if somebody changes their profile picture on social media, let's say Facebook or whatever, they get more likes than any post that they posted all year? Have you noticed that? People like to see you. I've discovered this because I'm a big football fan. I'm a huge football fan. I've always wanted to shoot football. I've always loved it, and I'm into fantasy football now. I like every team. I know everything that's going on. The Sunday comes, I got to watch everything. I'm all over it. And lo and behold, I stumbled into being able to shoot some NFL games this year. I shot the San Francisco 49ers Giants game, and then the Giants Raiders game. And now I forget why I was telling you this story. Where was I? What was I talking about?
How many likes?
Yeah. So listen, social media. So I post pictures of the football players, right? And I'm like, why aren't people liking? These are awesome. These are amazing pictures of these famous football players. And then I post a picture of me looking disheveled on the sidelines, and it gets 3 times as many big likes as the actual pictures that I took of the football players. You know why? Those people follow me. They want to see me. Your people follow you. They want to see you. And those people who follow the people who you're going to shoot follow them and want to see your picture of them. Do you know how powerful that is? Everybody needs a good headshot of themselves these days. People want to see you. They want to see what you look like on a given day. I think people should change their profile picture every month. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go I need to update my headshots. I got to walk the walk and talk the talk. I'm going to go change my headshot. I'm shooting a new headshot of myself this week. I'm changing all my social. How's that? Why don't we all do that? You ready?
Yeah.
I do selfies. I could teach you how to do it. I think guys should all do this. This is wonderful aside. You ready? When I shoot myself, I think, first of all, you think you know your face and you don't. You really don't know your face. You don't know your face at all. You don't. Like, I don't know my face, and I modeled for years, and I look in the mirror myself, but you don't know your face until you really inspect it when in a photograph, and you photograph yourself. So this is what I do. I set up my lighting, set up really good lighting for yourself, stick your camera on a tripod, you know, and I always, just so you know, I'll give you some other tips when I shoot people. I shoot them standing, and I always put the camera around chin height. So I just like it on the chin. I used to shoot a little bit higher, and I can't stand it because of, basically, it's a strength thing. I want people in my pictures to look confident and strong. I don't want them to look weak or timid or shy or big eyes. That's why I do squinching, for most of you that know it. For instance, all right, who's stronger now? I'll take you right out. Come on. What are you talking about? What about now? We're pretty even, right? Right. What about now? Yeah. Now you got me, right? Now you got me. So if I'm lower than you, you're more powerful. If we're even, we're pretty much even. And if I'm up here, you know, you feel that, guys? So for me, camera height is about a power play. I want you to look confident and powerful in my shots, right? I shoot a lot of CEOs. I shoot men and women who run companies. Do you think I want them to? Do you think they want to look weak? I don't want to shoot down on it. So I keep the camera height right at the chin. So if I was shooting myself, I'd probably be, and you could do this. You could put it on a tripod and put it right at the person, and I'd probably be. Is that not quite to my chin? I can't see is it right about there? I'm maxed out on this center column. What? I got to go higher? All right, wait a minute. I'm gonna fix this. Guys, I'm a big fan of Faisal. They sell it here at B&H. This is a CT3442. It's my travel one because I was traveling over to B&H, but I use a CT3472LV. Well, I am. I walked over here from Chelsea. I brought my travel tripod. I love it though, but they got a CT3472 LV. You got to go check it out. It should be on the floor. It's awesome, and they just came out with a Mark II, so it's amazing. All right, right about there, right? Yeah. Center of the. That's what I do. That's all I do. So now I've set that up, right? I take like this or whatever. I'll take a light stand. I'll focus the camera on that, and I'll mark the floor. I mark the floor. And then I just know where the mark is. I know I'm on focus, and I just stand like this, and then I turn myself, and I light myself, and I do it all. And I learn. I learn about expression because I'm learning about my own expression. I learn about how much I've aged. You know, how much weight differences. I fluctuate in weight because I still race sailboats. And you'll see me sometimes, and if you saw me in my last headshot, I look emaciated because it was right before I went to the World Championships, and I was like 15 pounds lighter than I am right now. And I looked a little thin there. But I do that, and I think it's really, really important because then I don't have to worry about anybody shooting me ever. I get shot a lot because I do the intensified and stuff, and I value that all these photographers are taking pictures of me for that and stuff. But I really want my picture to be I don't know. There's something about when I post pictures, like people will give me great pictures, and occasionally, like I told this on the sidelines, I got a great picture of myself shooting, and I told this woman I was going to post it, but I didn't post it yet. So maybe I'll post that. But I usually like posting my own shots, you know, of myself for some reason. It's just a thing with me. So for me, it's all about the work. Is that, Becky, is that yours?
Yes.
That's your shot?
Those are your neighbors.
But it's just randomly showing up while I'm speaking here?
They did. They rotate. There's like 150 in there.
And it happens to be her picture of the dogs right there, guys. Look at this. Is that amazing? Those are her German Shepherds. And that's awesome. That's awesome. So anyway, for me, it's all about the work, right? So my work, I want it to be strong. See how powerful these people look? Even like the women, the men, everybody's powerful. You need a solid product to first put out there if you're going to start this business. There's a lot of competition out there. You don't want to be spinning your wheels, and you want these people to latch onto something that they know it's yours. I do everything so it looks very similar. I like weird looks, like attitude, like she looks, it's strange. I like that. Also, what's their value add for coming to you? What is it? Like if they're searching for headshots and they're wondering why, like why would they come to you? What are they going to get? For me, it's all about simplicity. A lot of times I'll always do what I consider is the head-on headshot, which is like this, just straight in, straight. So I always start there. I usually finish there. I usually shoot it throughout the session, and then I'll move them. But it's always usually my favorite. I like it a lot. When I shot years ago, you'll see that as I age, my camera gets lower. You see how I'm high on him? It's an older picture, right? And I'm not that thrilled that I'm high on him. I still like the picture, but I would rather be lower. I'm lower on her. Little attitude there, right? I always like to. I've been lighting up the jawline on men, creating a little kick, by putting a light back there, a kicker, rim light, whatever you want to call it, and I play with it, and I've been doing, I've been playing around with it, and I love it. So, like I said before, every single entrepreneur on the planet now needs a headshot to promote their personal brand. We didn't need this years ago. Like it wasn't like I was just shooting actors. Now, you know how many companies want their people to be seen? The company is built on people, and the companies realize this, and their customers want to know those people in that company, and these companies want to show their people because they've got good people, and they want to photograph them well, looking confident, looking good, like and also the key is, I call it the key expression that I always talk about, and it's in my book, and it's all over the place, is coupling confidence with approachability. If you couple confidence with approachability in an image, you've got a winner. That's the go-to move. Once I capture that, I can stop shooting. That's why I say once I get that, it kills the shoot. So I'll go in and let's say I'm shooting an executive team and they say you have 5 minutes with each person. I'm like, all right, in the first minute I get confidence and approachability. I got 4 more minutes to spare. I got it done. I'm out of there. Now I always like the 5 minutes to turn to 10 minutes or the 20. Usually it's 20 minutes with like a CEO or so. You got 20 minutes. Oh yeah, I want a half hour. I'm going to get a half hour out of this person. And again, the head-on headshot. This is my buddy Shelby. I put him in the book. A lot of these are in the book. And it's simple. If I'm a potential customer, how can I be sure that you're going to do a good job of capturing a headshot I can be proud of? How are you going to make them sure?
Confidence.
Yeah, how are they going to know you're confident?
They show you work.
It's got to be the work. It's based off the work. They've got to see the work. One bad shot, and I'll tell this story. I believe that one bad shot in a portfolio is detrimental to you. One bad one. Like you've got to, then the other thing is that something that's very difficult for me when I'm coaching, I do live crew casts every week. So every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I'm on live with the Headshot crew, and we do contests, and I'm doing, we have Headshot of the Week, so every week, so I'm judging that tomorrow. If you guys, maybe I can send the link out. How can I get the link out? I'll put the link, should I put the link for the crew cast? I can put it out tomorrow publicly. That goes in a newsletter. If you're a member of my crew, you should all join the Headshot crew, and then you could get. But I would like you guys to see one of these. Anyway, every week I coach and I do these things live, and I'm in there, and I found that one of the biggest mistakes photographers make is that they think they have to put everybody they photograph in their portfolio. This is not true. You put people who shine in your portfolio. If you happen to get a good shot out of them. If I shoot 100 people, maybe one goes in my portfolio with me now. I mean, maybe. When I was starting and I had to shoot those 20, obviously I had to put almost everybody in the portfolio because I had to get it on that shelf, right? But then as soon as I shot 20 more, about 15 came out and 15 new ones went back in. Like, you guys have to continually be aware of that. The other thing is that I believe that you'll get a variety of the way people behave in front of your camera. Some people, you just point the camera at them and they light up for you. Have you had these people? It's amazing. Like you press the button and they were perfect. And you're like, what the heck is this person doing? And they're like, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, just do that. You don't have to do anything. Like those people go in your portfolio. The person who's like this, like they don't go in your portfolio. Like they're like you're like turn this way, and they're like, people get weird. Like that person doesn't go in your portfolio. I don't care how good looking they are, unless you chilled them out and they were cool. They don't go in the portfolio. You got to be very picky. I had a photographer that I recommend photographers through this referral program on Headshot Crew. So somebody goes in there. There's a contact form they fill out. It goes directly to the photographer. But before we set that up, and you can do that it's a free portion of the site, so you can sign up and get that, or you can, anyway, you can go in and look at that. So go to headshotcrew.com. But the point is that before we set that up, that contact, it's a contact leads form. You have the contact leads in your thing? It's inside your dashboard. You're a member of the Headshot Crew too. Come on. So before that, actually, this person called me and was teaching at a school, and she said, "Look, I love your work. The school is coming to New York, and we want you to photograph everybody in the school for this trip," which was like, I don't know, it was like 30 kids in the class. It was like a theater class. But they were in a town where I had one of my associate photographers. And I said, and first of all, they didn't even know my rates at this stage of the game. I was like, there's no way 30 kids from some town somewhere is gonna all shoot with me. I knew I was thinking, this isn't gonna work. So I told her my rate, and she's like, oh, you're right. Yeah, that's never gonna happen. I said, yeah, but I have a photographer that I trained in your town. Like, you need to go there. I trained the guy. And she's like, well, show me the work. So I'm on the phone with her. We both went to the website. We clicked together, and she's like, oh, that's pretty good. That one's pretty good. Oh, I know him. That's a good shot of him. This one. Oh, no. No, that's not a good picture. Yeah, I don't know. Thanks a lot, but it's not going to work out. I was like, okay, bye, click. One bad shot in a portfolio, you're done. These people, and the other thing is they're looking, and they probably have a number of photographers to choose from. You can't afford to put one bad shot in a portfolio, and you can't afford to have shots that don't match other shots. You see how consistent all this is? If I'm on that color background, if I'm on a white background, very consistent, trying to keep it consistent. And think about what you're going to do differently than the next guy. It's customer service, right? It's the way you treat people or the way you roll. You've got to have a leg up on what you're doing and how you're doing it. And I changed my backgrounds a little bit. I still keep consistency in the look and what I'm doing. So what is your ammo? This is what I believe your ammo is. That's it. You build a consistent portfolio, and you've got a sustained business model. I have one that's lasted since 2000. I haven't changed much. I mean, I went to those keynote flows, and that look in 2004, it's 2017, it's almost 2018. We're talking like, somebody do the math.
14 years.
14 years, you know? And the thing is that it amazed me, I only shot actors, so people would say, well, you're in New York. And then I opened up you're in New York and LA. I opened up a studio in LA because I wanted to shoot actors in LA. And then I was flying back and forth across the country. It got crazy, and I was like, no, I'm gonna stick with New York. But now it is go all over the country. Everybody watching out there is in a town somewhere where people need headshots. Why would you not add this? You should be adding, if you're a portrait photographer and you don't add headshots to your plate, you're missing out on some cash flow that is sitting there right in front of you. I teach you how to do it. You'd like to create a unique look. Something that has your stamp on it, whatever that may be. You don't have to know what that is right now. But please, photograph people consistently. Consistent light. Don't go into some like filtery thing that's different every time, where you're just taking down and degrading your file so that there's so much stuff on top of it that it doesn't. My thing about my work is that I want to shoot the person so that it looks like if they were standing in front of me, that's what it looks like. Like I want them to be like the best version of themselves as if they were standing in front of me. I'm not going to make their skin some crazy color or sharpen it like crazy or do anything like that. I don't do anything like that. As a matter of fact, a lot of times if you follow my Instagram feed, you'll see that if it says SOOC, the only settings that were on it happen to be whatever was in Capture One. I shoot into Capture One, happen to be whatever was in Capture One. Like I will put a little bit of color tweaking or something on it, but it's whatever was in Capture One, and then I just export it. It's a preset that I have made in Capture One, and then it goes out on the internet because I'm not big into retouching. Obviously, you know, the clients want retouching, and they can overread. That's a whole nother ball of wax. If they want to retouch themselves to look 12 years old, that's up to them. I try not to let them do that, but it doesn't go up on my site like that. And if they have a problem with it, they don't go up on my site either. Don't put anybody on your site that doesn't want to be there. That could be a real problem. I've had that happen too. We just had a headshot crew member who shot a lawyer, and she had signed a release, but didn't want to go up on his site, and he put her up on his site, and she ended up trying to sue him, but he had the release. So only put people this is the other thing that never goes on my site. Anybody that I didn't have a positive experience with. I mean, obviously we're human, things happen sometimes. Sometimes I'm having a great experience with the person, they walk out and their agent says they hate the pictures and they call me back. I'm like, do you think that's gonna go on my site? What if I had a bad day? What if I'm just having a rough day? Even though I got good shots I just didn't feel the connection with the person. I don't put them on my site. You know, I have this quote, professionals are at their best regardless. We all are professionals if we're getting paid for what we do. So we got to be 100%. But sometimes stuff just happens. Those people, you don't need to be reminded of it. Don't put it on your site. No matter how good of a shot you got. All right? I love my work. I love the people love my work too, because this guy got stolen and plastered all over the internet by another photographer. Resource Magazine just did an article about somebody stealing my work and this shot, and then the day that article came out, a guy emailed me and said, hey, by the way, some guy's stealing your work, and it was a whole nother guy. The article just came out about this. It's like it's out there. It's prevalent. I don't watermark my stuff. I like it to go out there. It's whatever it is. The thing is that those people can't recreate it. So it causes what am I going to do? Am I going to go after? No, I'm just going to go, hey, take it down. You shouldn't have done that. And then I have my posse of photographers that people that get amped up about this and they go after them, but it is what it is. The photographers out there watching this, it's got to be your own work. It's got to be your work. Why would you take somebody else's work? Now, you can learn from other people's work. You can take other people's work and copy it. Copy me if you like it. It works. You want to make money? Copy me. Go ahead. Right? But there was this quote that it said, you can never get ahead of somebody by copying them. You can only catch up to them, right? Maybe, if you're lucky, and then you're doing pretty well if you do that. I believe in this because of my experience sailing. When I was training for the Olympics, I copied or watched the gold medalist. I watched him, Hawkeye, all over that guy. How did he do that? What did he do? And I started trying to sail like him. And the next thing I know, I got faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. And I was never able to beat him, but I got around I did very, very well, but this guy was amazing. And I remember getting around, I was in Germany, I got around the first mark ahead of him, and he was behind me. He was the next boat, and there were like 70 boats in the fleet. I'm winning, he's in second. And all I thought was, I just want to keep him behind me. And I won that race, and he finished second, and he came up to me and said, I couldn't catch you. So yeah, I didn't end up beating him overall, but I ended up beating him in a race, and he couldn't catch me, which means what? I needed to then figure out my own way to get faster. And by then I was already off to photography land, so it didn't happen. Can you see I'm a little higher on him? Older picture. I love the shot. Charlie Moss. I love the shot. A little higher on him. A little lower, right? More power. A little more power. More power, a little lower. Pretty powerful, right in there. But consistent, give him something to latch on to, right? I don't know why Adam's in there. I put Adam in there. So this is the thing. If somebody, let's say somebody comes in and they're uncomfortable in front of your camera and your direction is down, but you're just not quite getting them to chill out, and if somebody's not relaxed, they're not as, to be honest, they're not as attractive as they can be. They just, when we're stiff, we're just less attractive than if we're chilled out. It's just the way it is. And you're not getting the shots. I've had this situation, but my go-to is that I'll look at the pictures on the screen and I'll say to the person, I'll be like, look, this is what I do. I don't know how to do it any other way. Like, if you're not listening to me, it's different. Like, this is usually, they're not listening. They don't get my input. So the reflection of the pictures aren't good. And I'm looking at the pictures and I'm like, they're pretty good, but they're not listening to me. So they're not going to get better unless this person listens to me. So in that case, and this doesn't happen very often, but I usually say, hey, I'll give you your money back, because I usually take a deposit. I'll give you your money back and you go find another photographer, because this is what I do. Like, I don't know how to do it any other way. If I could do it better, I'd do it right now. But this is my stuff. And my site is so consistent that that is my stuff. So when I look at it and I point out, look, every shot on my site looks similar to this, and you don't like it, so I really can't help you. Every time I've said that, do you think they left?
No.
They didn't leave. They never, not one left. They never left. But I had to say it, because then once I say that, I've got control back, and then they listen. I'm like, look, I told you could leave, otherwise you got to listen to me. And then the shots get better and they're happy and they go off and they're fine. But if I had a haphazard site where I really wasn't sure what I was shooting, and I shot some outside and I did some on a white background, I did some with shadow, I did some with like really clean beauty light, like I did it all over the place, I'd be like, to me, it's about consistency. I didn't have anything to say that. I'd be like, no, this is what I do. This is why you're here. This is what you're going to get. And that's really what drove my business, and that was really good. So I get this a lot. People are like, I'm trying to market my stuff, but I don't know what to do. And then I'm like, well, show me your stuff. And I see it, and I'm like, well, obviously, like, you got to work on your work first before you try and market. If you're spending marketing dollars or anything, if you're putting out, there's a gazillion ways that you can get your work out there these days. What will work for you may not work for the guy next to you. You know, it's very difficult in this day and age to figure out where eyeballs are, all right? Because what we're trying to capture is attention, right? We want their attention on our pictures. How do you get the person that's sitting in that company down the street that's in charge of picking the photographer for the headshot photography for corporate headshots to look at your work? It's not easy, right? So you can run ads, you could do tests, you could try a bunch of different things. There are some staples across the board, which is 1, good portfolio, 2, good SEO, right? Google organic, make sure it's coming up, right? Then you can try investing, and you can put some money into Facebook ads or Google AdWords, or you could do whatever. There's a number of things that you could do. The point is that we're trying to get this attention on our work. Once the attention's there, the work's got to be good. So if the work's not good, people call me and they're like, I have no idea why I'm not getting anybody to shoot. And then I'm like, okay, you don't see that this is not a good picture? Like, you have like 5 pictures in there that are really bad, and like maybe 1 that you put in the back of your portfolio that's like your best. Like, you have to develop an eye for this, and you have to have an outside eye telling you and guiding you that it's good. You can't have, I call it the American Idol syndrome. Do you know when the judges are like there, and they always put on TV like the worst singer that's like blown away, that they don't think that they're good. Like they're singing away and they think they're great, and they put the mic down and Simon Cowell's over there like this. And they're like, what, get this person out of here? And they're screeching their voice, but they think they're amazing. You do not want to have that as a photographer. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You have to bounce your work off of other people so that you have a sense of it until you know. And once you know, you don't ever have to ask anybody ever again about your work. But until you know, you have to do it. That's why I do Headshot Crew. If people don't put pictures on Headshot Crew for critique, how am I going to coach them? I wouldn't know where they were at. You want to know where you're at. Do you think I put pictures out for critique? When I post pictures online or my work online, it's not for critique. This is the picture. It's going on my website like this, like whether you like it or not. I'm an artist. Once you've realized that it's your art and you're not having some sort of episode that it's like you think it's good but it's not, there's a moment, and at that moment I feel like you've arrived somewhere, and you should never ask people for their opinion again. It should be just yours, you know. But until you feel that moment come, you gotta ask people's opinions and stuff, and then you'll build this look, and then you'll have and then you develop an eye, and then you know whether it's got this word I call lookability or not. You got to nail the look of your brand. It's a whole branding thing around it too. Like if their experience like clicking on your website and looking from one shot to another isn't good, that's not good either. You know, you got to have the whole brand down. What is your brand? You know, how do you find it? It's a search. I didn't know what my brand was going to be look like. It hasn't changed much over the years, but I didn't know it was going to be this. And I'm always thinking about how to change it. How do I tweak it? Like I used to only shoot a white background. Like I don't think I had another color on my website except for in my portraiture. And then I was like, all right, let me drop the light off the background and let the white go like a nice soft gray. I'll add some gray. Oh, wait a minute, I kind of like that. Well, let's go darker. What about black? Let's go black. We could do a little bit black. And that's what I did. But once you find your look of your brand, everything's got to lead to your web. Like you've got to put all this marketing, everything's got to be directed at your site. So anything you're doing on social, everything, you want everything to come back to your site. And on your site, you want to have a nailed down version of what it is that you do. Now, it's up to you if you put pricing on your site or not. This is a topic that comes up all the time. I have had pricing on my site, I've had it off my site, I've had it on my site, I've had it off my site, then I had it on again, and then right now it's off. All right? But I can't, you're trying different things. You got to try a variety of things. Right now, I'm trying to see, I want to see who's contacting me. I want to make them contact me. I don't put now it's hidden in there, but there's a way to get to it. But on it, you need to create a page that it's great to have it all. You do not, I realized this a long time ago, you do not want to have to talk about your rates at all if you can avoid it. You want it nailed down on a site. One, because you don't want to be wishy-washy with people. Like I'm not willy-nilly with my rates. Like these are the rates. Like it's not, there's negotiating or anything like that. It's not, these are the rates. This is it. It's on my site like this. That's what it is. And you create a page which has all that and how to set up a session. So it's got a strategic pricing structure, that you have to know it very well inside and out. Like you got to be able to answer everything that's on that page. My assistant does it all now, and I used to be so focused on it. I knew everything, and now my assistant does it, and I've been like, I have to ask. I'm like, Brittany, what are our rates? Like, I'm like losing my mind, and I realize I got to go back too. But she's the one, and then you can hit the gray star in the lower left-hand corner of my website is the tricky way to get to my rates. But you can go to my rates and you can check them out. If you want to. Now, don't copy the copy. Everybody copies my copy there. If I Google like the copy, like 20 photographers come up that they put it exactly on their site. Just if you want to use my information, just rewrite it in your own words completely. So I don't even know that you did that. Just don't do that either. That's not cool. But I start with a little pitch. I usually put testimonials. You need testimonials these days, guys. You got to set up a Google page and have Google testimonials. It's really powerful, and you got to make sure you have a Google business that can be found on Google Maps, and that it all leads to your website, and that your website is linked to your Google page, and you got to get those testimonials going. It's huge, and it's very helpful because you'll come up in that first search bar when people Google headshot photography or whatever, and then they show the studios that are Google verified listings. You need to do that. If you have a studio that's I actually had a Google photographer guy come to the studio and take a bunch of pictures, and now you can walk through my studio on my Google page. How cool is that? I don't know how that happened. I actually knew the guy. I don't know, but he showed up and he took some pictures for Google, and it was there. So you got to find one of these Google people and get them to do it. I don't think you can do it by yourself. I don't know. But it's been helpful because and I rent my studio too. If anybody wants to come shoot in New York and use my lights, you can rent the studio. Anyway, so what do we got? We got packages. You need packages. Explanation on how you roll. You need a safety net. Hey, I can't control anything that happens outside my studio. I can control what's going on inside my studio during the shoot. If I shoot Mary and Mary goes and leaves and loves the shots, and Mary's husband is like, "What were you thinking? These are terrible." And Mary calls me upset and wants a refund or wants to shoot again, I'm like, "Mary, you were here. You approved everything. I can't control what went on out there." And then I usually, you charge if you want to come back. If you want to fix it, we'll come back or whatever. But I happen to like, otherwise I wouldn't let them leave. So usually it's just a opinion thing. But, define what they get, how the shots are, what goes on with the shots after the shoot. You need a whole workflow set up so they understand what it is that they get and what they leave with and how much it costs, and if there's any extra fees depending on how you do your pricing structure. If they're getting hair and makeup, are you paying a hair and makeup artist, and are you paying them, or do you have a freelancer come in? I have a freelancer come in and that they pay that person directly. I have nothing to do with it. You have to decide on stuff like that. All right, deposits, if you're doing any discounts or promotions, all that stuff, logistics and availability, all that stuff's really important. So the workflow. My thing is from the moment that person walks in my studio till the moment they leave, it's game on. I got work to do. We got to make sure that things are going to happen. So you got to have a polished workflow that you run through so it's streamlined. You might have another person coming in right afterwards, right? You want to look pro, you want to be more efficient and get clients in and out the door in a timely manner, for sure. So here's my shoot day breakdown. They come in the door. First thing you want to do is if they come in the door and there are multiple people in the studio, I introduce them to everybody in the room. Have you ever gone up to somebody and met them and there's 3 other people in the room and you introduce yourself and then walk away and that person feels like they're not introduced to the 3 other people? You know how uncomfortable that is? That's just weird. Don't do that. It's not a big enough space for them to be I introduce everybody in the room for whatever reason they're there, right? The next thing I do, first of all, they're generally coming in anxious, right? They're fired up. It's nerve-wracking to come in for a photo shoot. It is. It's not like a piece of cake thing. People are fired up about it. They're spending a lot of money on it, and it's a setup, right? It's a shoot. They're coming to my studio. They're going to be photographed. They're walking in the door. I've got to take care of them at that point. So I start off. They have a big suitcase, hopefully, because they brought me a lot of clothes to choose from, because that's what I like. I'm going to say, look, all right, first things first. Unpack all of this, hang it up on this hanger, or throw it around the room, whatever. I have a front room, and if I only have one person in that day, I will let them use the front room however they like. Or I have a hanging rack in the back and one in the front in case I'm overlapping clients and to keep them separated, and it just works out that way. Then they go into the hair and makeup if they're a female, and if with men, I'll create the session based on facial hair, if they're going to shave. If they're not going to shave, then I'm fine, I go with it. But if they're going to shave, if they have a little scruff going on and they want to trim it down halfway through the shoot, they can do that. But that means I got to decide what I'm going to photograph along the way. It's the same with women with the build with makeup. I'm going to start off natural with the makeup, and I'm going to look at their clothes, and I'm going to assess which, like I always go, natural makeup, bright colors go together. I don't usually put bright colors with dark makeup. I just don't do that. I do it as a, so I'll set up their clothes, and I will toast anything that I know I'm not going to use. You want to get it off that rack and have them put it back in their suitcase because you don't want to even think about it during the shoot. You're like, no, get rid of this, put that away. I'm just like narrowing it down. So I'm very streamlined during my shoot, especially if I have another person coming in afterwards. Then I do a file build I shoot into an iMac. I shoot tethered so they can see it all. My biggest number one coaching tool, you guys, I use Tether Tool stuff. I like the orange cable. It's good, high visibility. And I like their stuff. So I'm always tethered. I'm tethering like a madman. And I use it as a coaching tool. Number one coaching tool. They see themselves. This is what I learned. You'll never believe this. This is something, it's amazing. Humans, believe it or not, they have the capacity to learn. How are they going to learn? They're going to learn if you show them. If you don't show them, they're not going to learn. If you show them, they're going to learn. Now, don't show them if your lighting's not good. If you're getting bad pictures, don't show them. Whatever you do, it's going to be a slippery slope, right? You're not going to get them back. You're trying to build confidence. You want to lose confidence in them, right? So that's what tethering's really about, all right? I call it go for light. Go for light is the light you're going to go for whatever it is that you're shooting. Go for light for me is my go for light, which is my flex kit. It's the Peter Hurley flex kit, the Westcott flex kit. That's the one I use, and that's the one I go for when I'm shooting my headshots. I do a guess shot. My first shot of the person is, I call it a guess shot, I guess. I think expressions are fleeting. They happen quick, they go away fast, they're gone, they're in, they're out. I think that for me, it's very important that I capture every single one of them that I can get. If I get, how many of you shot somebody and the best shot you got was the first shot you took of them? Happens, right? Don't mess around with that shot. That is not a test, that's a guess. You're guessing at your settings. You want to get as close to spot on as possible. What do you have in this day and age? I bring it all into Capture One. I use Capture One software. I got a couple stops leeway. I might as well get close. I can work with that. I can work, hopefully you're not 2 stops away, but you can work with stop and a half, no problem. I got a 10-20-40 rule. I have an edit, and then the 10-20-40 rule is this. So I edit as I go, which is my coaching. So I'm showing them, I'm getting approval from them that they like it. That way it stays in my session. So people always ask me, and I'm going to get to questions soon. We're going to go to questions, and we'll go to questions online too. If you're out there and you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. They always ask me, how many pictures do you get in your session? How much does it cost? Well, I gave you the rates page. You can look at how much it costs. How many images they get? They get every one that's good. All right? If it's good, they get it. Now, if it's not good, I don't allow bad work out of my studio. There's this, who said that? Kevin Gilbert said in his in a TED talk, he said, the pros only show you the good stuff. It's true. You got to delete everything that's not good. Everything goes. So I have this 10-20-40 rule. The first time I get them in front of my camera, I keep about 10% of the images. That means if I shoot 100 pictures, I keep 10. That's it. I don't need the 90 pictures. That's warm-up time. That's like, I only need 10. Usually what I do is I have a mental clicker when I get 10. If the person's really good, it'll take me like 30 shots to get 10. And I know that because I'm working with them. I'm like, they were just great. I got the 10 already. If they're good, but I would say on average I shoot 60 to 70 shots to get the 10 in my first look. That's about what I normally shoot. If I have to shoot 100 shots, they're good, but they're not quite there yet. If I have to shoot like 150 shots, they're not doing very well. Anything over that, they're a disaster area, right? To get the 10, do you think that I'm going to bring them out and show them 250 shots when only 10 in there are good? No way. My makeup artist knows I have code. It's like, okay, go throw on that second look, that look over there. Go throw that on, and can you touch her up when she's done changing? That's code. Like, don't let her out of the chair till I'm done editing. So, and with guys, it'd just be like, go change. I'm going to go through these real quick. I don't want them to see the ones that they don't need to see. I want to build them. I'm always building them up. So there's also a psychological component to your tethering, which is really important. Usually, if I'm doing a session, my sessions last about an hour, I usually overshoot because I like to under-promise and over-deliver, I like to say. So I usually shoot for an hour and a half if it says. I go by time just because it allows me to cover myself. If I shoot them more than an hour, it says they get an hour. I did a little bit more, whatever. I'm like, look, you get plenty. And I'm always trying to make sure that they're happy and getting enough. But once I break 100 shots in the after editing and they're good, that's usually when I start to know. I'll wrap up the session. I like people to get 100 shots from my session to choose from. I like about 100. If they're quick with me, if it's a corporate person and I have like 15 minutes and it's not a full hour session, then I'm just all about like getting enough good ones in there for them to be covered and have some range. So maybe they can get like 20 or 30 shots, something like that. But they're all after I've shot like 2 or maybe 200 down to 20 or 30, right? Everything goes up on a photo proofing site. I use Photoproof Pro. I do a payment and wrap up. I have them sign them on a release most of the time. The only time I don't have them sign them on a release is if I think I'll never use them, if I had a bad experience. I'll never use that person. I didn't love this. I didn't like, there was something off. I'm never going to use that shot, and I don't want to deal with it. So, but most of the time I do a consultation fee. If they want to go over the images, they can buy out the images. My retoucher, then they go to my retoucher. I have 2 retouch. One is colorworksnyc.com. They do all my client work. So if I shoot a headshot, it goes off to them, and it's already set up through Photoproof Pro to go to them. All right. I also use InTandem Pro for my website and personal retouching or my commercial work. I also think you need a simple way to set up a testimonial, guys. If you don't have yourself set up to give a testimonial on Google, you got to do that because you want to ask them. It's an ask. You need to ask. Ask them, you had a good experience? Ask them for the testimonial. It's huge for you. It's people really respond to that. This is Photoproof Pro, which is my proofing site that I use. You can go there, and there are crew perks. In the crew perks section of the website, there's a discount for Photoproof Pro. So if you're a member of Headshot Crew, go there and do that. What else? The Headshot Intensive. This is my signature workshop. If you go on the website, it's all listed on Headshot Crew. I'm going to LA, I'm going to Houston, I'm going to Ireland, I'm going to Charleston, South Carolina. I believe I'm going to set one up in Prague. So if you're out there in another part of the world, they're happening. Just stay on the site. This is the Headshot Crew, and this is what I'm all about. So if you liked what you heard today and you want more coaching, or you want to get on that Find a Photographer page right there, go to Headshot Crew and sign up. If you do sign up, there's a book deal, and you can get my book, and I will sign it for you and ship it to you anywhere in the world. I believe that this is a little video about that. I just have to say I'm so psyched to have the biggest community of headshot photographers in the world assembled in one place, right here. We get weekly tips from me. You get coaching. Then you can submit a portfolio to me of your best work. If you get a portfolio to me of solid shots that meet my criteria, you are propelled into associate status stardom. And this is what Headshot Crew is all about. We're building a community here, people. We have over 6,000 photographers now. What do you think of them apples, huh? If people Google themselves, what images come up? Should be one of yours. Get in, get involved. Feel free to ask any question you want. We are here for you. We need you in here because you are awesome. Shebang! Shebang. Wait, I didn't shebang once in this whole class.
You did one.
I did?
Hold on the video.
In the video. Okay, that doesn't count. All right, all right. What?
Yeah, it was a long hair shebang.
Oh, it was? It was, all right, all right. Guys, thanks for coming. I hope everybody enjoyed it.